What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out to Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvolt, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As The Earth, Chow Young Cat, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Wayne Foster, Edwin Johnson, Erwin Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin', Henrik86, Jaronism, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Matt, Nagara, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Reinhardt, Rene, Sally Ballis, Silver Umbrella, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, The Flat Earth Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock App, theflatearthchannel.com, Tina Baker and Tom Hawkins. So a massive shout out of appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we do have a few people in both the G Plus and Discord servers, so I'm going to raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for the first live show. You still with us, 10th?
Yes, I am. Good morning. Good to have your good broadcast voice back on the air.
It's because I've been sat here warming it up, cursing and swearing as nobody joined the hangout because obviously the link was broken. Duff link, I'm sitting here thinking, someone will come eventually.
A bit sure salty this morning.
Say again?
A bit salty this morning. Like
a little bit salty. But it's all good. It's all working now and I've got guests and I'm in Discord and hopefully a few people have been taken off mute.
Hello, Discord. Who's in Discord?
Have you taken anybody off mute? No. Nobody's off mute. I'll have to take them all off mute. Just give me a second. I'm working my way from bottom to top, in case you're wondering. I'm on my way to you, Earth-Shaped Investigator. I can see you flashing. Right, there we go. You're all unmuted.
Good morning.
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 Morning all.
I'm on mute.
No, we can hear you. Ace, right, 5 minutes to spare. Speak amongst yourselves, I'm actually getting myself a cup of coffee.
Thank you. Did you guys catch the Saturday Ballbusters?
Caught some of it.
Yeah, QE did a follow-up on Sleeping Warriors Street interview, or not interview, but debate with the two college students. It was pretty good.
When did the debate or interview happen between the college students? It was like a few days ago or something? Or was it live?
It's an older, I think it was a couple of months ago. That might even be too long ago, but at least a couple of months ago. And Sleeping Warrior channel has the full debate. It's over 2 hours long. And it was interesting how people go to school and are in the current teaching of science, etc. And one had quantum mechanics degree. The other was, I can't remember what it was, the gentleman in the debate, but he was also a student of science. And they were spouting off stuff. And all of a sudden, the dependent variable was either mistakenly done or actually believed to be the cause rather than the effect, and it came from their side. So it's just pretty interesting how you can mix up something that simple.
Were they undergraduate or master's, PhD level?
I think the gal already had a degree and she had written some papers. But I think the crux of it was, here's a flat earther on the street in Liverpool, and we're college students who have done something, have degrees. This is going to be easy. And then it wasn't. It took 2 hours and they were embarrassed. That's the way I saw it.
Yeah, that's the thing with universities, that you become so specialized in that particular, not just that field, but that subspecialty within the field, that you just do what, even if you have papers and all that, you just go with the flow. So, that's why you get sort of so compartmentalized when you're sort of challenged to start to think a bit wider. It can be very difficult.
The other problem being that when you present that person with alternate information that goes against what they've been taught / indoctrinated with, the rebuttal is, well, are you a PhD in XYZ, blah, blah, blah? So no, so shut up. You have no business talking about whatever. Let the experts figure it out, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that
I think
actually took effect.
That's a nice point, yeah. There needs to be a maturity about the student or graduate as well before you can really appreciate that. Otherwise, yeah, university is just like an extension of high school. You do well in high school, you go to university, continue along that path. It's only really master's and PhD level start to really get into the nitty gritty of what is science. But then again, it depends on the yeah.
Well, that's what Sleeping Warrior was saying. What is science? Do you know the scientific method? And this is where it all fell apart for them. The very basic thing they didn't know, and yet they were in the field that's the basic foundation of their field. And this was the unveiling of the pseudoscience that they were taught in the university. So when you say, I have a degree in something, okay, well, you taught the truth. Did you get the degree based on you actually being taught the truth of a subject matter? Or did you get a degree because this is what they're pushing and you got to answer with these questions to get that degree, whether it's a truthful answer or not?
Yeah, I mean, for my case, I was doing, I wanted to do medicine, so it was kind of like a biology degree, but it's sort of like a quote unquote pre-med kind of thing. So at that time, everyone was spouting, evidence-based medicine and all that. So I guess I too also took it for granted that, hey, this is science, they're doing clinical trials, they're doing lab tests, they're, testing on animals as well. But it's only later on, much, much later, like maybe in the past 2 years, that I realized, wait a minute, other fields such as astronomy or astrophysics and all that is just observational. It's calculating anything.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion right here, right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined in G+ by Ranty Flat Earth and the 10th Man. How are you both doing?
Fantastic.
Doing good, thank you, Nathan. Yourself?
Very well, very well. No issue. Well, I'm still really ill, but I'm okay. Getting there. We're also joined by a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all in the Discord server.
Hello, hello.
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 Any signs of Earth curvature at all?
Not
Yes.
by Carmel by the sea.
Not
Yes.
from 35,000 feet.
I heard yes twice.
You did. I found it
Oh,
a long
okay.
time ago.
Tell me more. Fill me in.
A long time ago, Nath. Do you want to share my screen and show you?
Yeah, sure. Oh, I didn't say of
Good
the
morning,
Earth-based
everyone.
variety. It's too late now, though, eh?
I could have saved so much time if I'd just gone back to this one video that shows it clearly.
This is going to be a banana.
Good morning, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Right, let me bring up the video. Bring up the video. Ready to play.
Let's just make it a little bit prettier. Just give me 10 seconds. I'm going to say yes. Go ahead.
So way back when I first met Tony, went to Hoy Lake, and as you can see, we're watching a boat go over the curve. Look at that. That's definitely going over the curve, isn't it, Nate?
No.
Yeah.
What's the curve?
Filmed.
What's
It's
the
filmed.
curve?
Look at it. It's tilting and everything.
Someone else do this with him. I'm not going to play along. Someone else play along with him.
Going downhill. Look.
Yeah, I could see that. I still don't see a curve.
Nathan, sorry to interrupt. Some others asked to be unmuted in Discord. New people.
Oh, okay.
You're not going to play along. This is terrible.
I can't see what Ranty's projecting, but I can guarantee there's no curve.
No, there isn't.
It's going over the curve. I mean, look at it. Oh, well, never mind. That was a joke that didn't go very well, did it?
It was
Bloody
epic.
hell.
Very well done, Ranty.
What
Thank
day
you
is
for
it?
sharing.
Monday? Is it Monday?
It is Monday.
Everyone's feeling crappy, is it? Is that what it is?
Well, certainly I am, but I can't speak for anyone else. But thank you for sharing. Everyone should be off mute now. Fenris, you're flashing away, but I can't hear anything from you.
Yeah, I had something to say. I was just waiting until he was done. So, I don't know. What kind of bugs me is that a lot of freaking salespeople keep calling me. Whenever you're viewing something like a boat, like quote unquote going over the horizon, there is curvature. So that boat should look as though it's at a different angle. And so should any building that you're seeing. It should be tilted away from you, even if it's a holographic projection.
And that was my point all along, the tilt. Did you guys not get
Right,
it?
that's, yeah, so if you're viewing something from like 80 miles away, it should be significantly tilted away from.
You slipped off. There. Can't say it with a cold. Let's say it slower. You have slipped off your push to mute button.
Or push to talk.
I'm ill. Don't correct me. God damn you.
Oh.
Right, let's move
Yeah,
on.
but wait, hold on. This
Go on.
should be curved away. Like, that's only because we're reifying their model.
Yeah, should be on their model, not in reality. Well done. I should have pointed that out first, really. Good job someone's awake. Yeah, Ranty, what do you mean? You're
Right.
showing us pictures and telling us what models should do. This is a reification fallacy that you're doing on their behalf. What are you doing?
It's tilt, Nathan. Tilt. 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 I'm telling you, it's tilt.
Hold on. Who
Doing
said
the
that from
bumpers now.
Discord?
It's tilt.
Really?
Who said that from Discord?
What's that, tilt?
No. Someone responded and you've
about
whistled
the
past
tilt?
it. Is it Ewok?
Yeah.
What he's saying, Ranty, is you're telling us this should be tilt while showing us a picture. And by saying there should be, i.e. we should see, you're reifying what their model would do if you were looking at their model. But saying we should see it when you're looking at a picture of reality.
I'm being the sacrificial glober this morning, Nath.
Did get
Never
out.
mind. It all's gone over all of your heads.
Fair enough. I'm not
feel
that
like-
sharp today.
I feel like that's precisely the point. It's evidence against the globe model. That's kind of what I was getting. it is reifying it, but it's using.
They're using the should tilt fallacy.
Right. So shout out to Abraham Mohammed. I saw your curve, Ranty. Lol. Thank you very much. I hope I say your name right. He sent me an email saying it's Muhammad like Muhammad Ali, as opposed to Muhammad, which is how I was saying it. So I hope I've corrected it, Abraham. I hope I'm saying your name right. I am trying, I promise. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Nope.
Mark Taylor was trying to tell me there was the other day, but I think he was too scared to come on and talk to me about it, because he hasn't been on since that time, which is like probably, I don't know, Thursday.
Anybody else? Axial rotation? Any proof of spinning? Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, Chocolate.
What's going on?
Just a bit of housekeeping. It's going quite well. Excuse me a sec.
Any axial rotation, Chocolate?
Any axis? Right. That's what I thought.
Hooray! Abraham Mohammed says, "It's perfect now, Nathan. You're good, my bro." Thank you very much. Super chatting to say I've got his name right. Thank you, really appreciate your support. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
What's the sun?
No idea. That's third time in a row someone's asked that question. It's probably you every time. I don't know what the sun is. I have no idea. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope.
Nope.
It's 93 million miles away, Nathan.
And how have you come to that conclusion? How did you measure it?
I didn't, but some clever people told us that it was, and, we've got to believe them.
Okay, because you gave an exact measurement, I know where that measurement came from. It came with a presupposition of an R value and then a manipulation of the angles when measuring that celestial object. So, no. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius, the presupposition used to give you a 96 million mile sun? R value, Earth radius. Anybody?
Wait a minute, Nathan. Wait a minute, Nathan. Before you go over there, they did calculate the distance to the sun using the distance to the moon at the solstice, didn't they? That's how they did it. They did it through angles.
They manipulate the angles. I just said that, didn't I? Is this thing on? They manipulate the angles based on a radius value.
Well, no, you don't have to know the radius with this, though. You can just measure the distance to the moon. Knowing the distance to the moon and looking at the certain time the moon is, you can look at, as the sun rises during the solstice, you can figure out the distance to the sun. Come on. It has nothing to do with radius.
Saying you can.
Paul,
how?
What's the moon?
No. Not what's the moon. We've had that. How have you calculated this, Paul? If I could actually speak.
Well, we shot these things called lasers, and we timed the distance from the moon to the, how that long it took the laser to return, and that's how we figured out the distance to the moon.
Perfect. So you say you timed the return. So were you looking continually or in a specific time slot for when the return signal should come back, based on R?
Well, yeah, that's true, but we also know how fast
okay, that's it.
Light is.
Right, Paul. Don't need. I wish I was functional. There's no need to be an actual globe head. Yes, that's right, isn't it? You're going to be doing it based on R again, aren't you? Yeah.
Okay, you got me.
Shout out to Isa Mahalski. Let's get the other screen up.
What's the medium that that these lasers are traveling through?
That's a good one. Paul, any idea what medium this laser's traveling through now? Oh, just like a real baller, keen to interrupt, not so keen when he's being held to task by Ranty, eh?
Well, wait a minute. No, I'm back. I had to step away for a second.
Yeah. Same old excuse. Had to step away.
It's a pressure differential. Don't you know? As you go higher, the pressure lessens.
So we're on to a different subject. No. What is the medium that the light's travelling through? Don't tell me about the pressure gradients.
Well, it's supposed to be. They tell us it's a vacuum.
Oh, that's a shame.
So
I think it's made of jelly.
There's big problems with that. It can't be a vacuum. If it was an endless space for the gas that we breathe to fill, then it would be filling it. Let's just do a quick shout out. Thank you though, Paul. Etymology of ocean from Greek means the great stream encircling Earth's disk. Shout out Frank America. Really appreciate your support. Thank you very much. And shout out to Frank America.
So let's suppose that the medium that it's trying to travel through is made of jelly. Would that affect the time that it takes for this laser to return?
Oh, here we go. Wingman baller with a stupid straw man. Sorry, if it was made of jelly, what now, red herring?
How long would it take to get through the jelly?
All done, Ranty. Someone from Discord's tried a couple of times now, and now we've figured out that your input to this is absolutely banal. We'll move on to whoever's trying to interrupt from Discord. Go ahead, whoever's trying to get a word in. Hey, the one.
No, I was just saying, affirming the concept put much. That's exactly what everything does. And they say, okay, no, hold on now. Pretend that we're on a ball. And that's how exactly every proof starts out. By the way, how do you know that space is not a medium? Do you have a PhD in NASA?
PhD in NASA? excuse me a sec. I didn't know NASA were giving out PhDs in NASA. Is that a doctorate that you can actually acquire?
Yeah, these people go on the telly all the time and they tell us about all this stuff. Do you go on the telly and tell us about all this PhD in NASA?
Right, no more making me laugh. It's aggravating my cough.
Is this an Nasology discipline?
Look, without the container, there can be no pressure. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space. Entropy would increase. It's a violation of a natural law, the second law of thermodynamics, to assert that the sky is a vacuum. Entropy would increase. We'd have no gas to breathe. The available volume would be outer space. That's what the gas would want to fill. It doesn't, therefore the sky is not a vacuum. Moving on. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Gravity doesn't exist. It's a made-up story.
Anybody at all? Scientific evidence of gravity? Has anybody acquired any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of cosmology, astronomy, or astrophysics in their entire histories?
Well, not by Danny Faulkner.
Danny Faulkner referred to a redneck retard known as Blue Marble Science when asked how you can have gas pressure without a container. He showed us a demonstration from a redneck of a gas pressure container transferring gas pressure into another container. So, no, we can't really refer to PhDs like Daniel Faulkner when it comes to gas pressure without a container. His reference is to go and search it out on the internet and refer to a redneck retard. You know, it's very foolish, if you don't know the answer to something, Daniel Faulkner, if you're watching this, to just go and Google search it and come up with the first answer. That's ridiculous and demonstrates how stupid you are. Don't just Google search something if you don't know. Say, I don't know, Dr. Daniel Faulkner.
It was funny the other day on Discord. Zanuck keep using the airplane wing as his illustration for a vacuum, which means you have less pressure above the wing, more pressure below the wing. But when I pressed him, is there's the same amount of stuff above the wing and below the wing? He says, no, there's the same amount of stuff, but that's still a vacuum. I'm going like, oh my goodness, Zanuck, come on.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed, of course, spherical Earth?
No evidence, Nathan.
Nope, that's purely impossible.
Yeah, it was in all of my science books.
Another comedian. In all your science books.
He means indoctrination, pseudoscience books.
I appreciate that many people believe
Sorry.
we have a molten iron core, but is there any actual evidence? Evidence being synonymous with proof.
Oh, you want proof?
Evidence
want
is
that?
proof. That's what evidence means. Evidence and
Can't-
proof are synonymous.
Can't you just believe them?
Well, that's belief as opposed to evidence.
Yeah. But why do
No,
you
I'm
need
not asking
proof?
for belief in the molten iron core. That's why I said we've got a comedian. No. The question is not any evidence of your belief in a molten iron core. That I don't need. I know plenty of people believe that Theia smashed into Earth, depositing its oversized molten iron core and the debris coalescing into the moon. Yeah, I appreciate that people have got a lot of bullshit just so stories being fed to them by textbooks at school. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Even if there was, that science doesn't prove anything.
Science proves cause if you validate a hypothesis.
Well, Nathan, if they can go down to that center, which they say is X number of miles, maybe. But the fact that they've only gone 8 miles, how would they know?
And they wouldn't. It's just a made-up story. But lots of people still believe it based on their textbooks. Thank you very much to the chap in Discord. It doesn't mean there's any evidence of it, though. There isn't.
There is.
Oh, here we go. Oh, Ranty's on the case. Wingman to the rescue.
Look at all these. Look at all these images, Nathan. Can't deny it. It's there in black and white and red and green.
Sorry, did you say all of these what?
Images.
Images.
Drawings.
These are some beautiful cartoons, lovely illustrations. Shout out to Cleary.
Yeah, that looks exactly
What did
like
they
my
actually
science
do
book.
in the
It looks
real
just like my-
world to come to the conclusion of a molten iron core? That's what I'm curious about.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing, Arwen. Shout out to Cleary. The tree grew up, then the apple came down. Yeah?
Here, I got one for you. I typed into science proof things, and there's this article. Look at this article that pops up in Scientific America. Look at the name of the headline.
Yeah.
I'm a scientist. I don't
Scientific
believe
American's
in
always
facts.
been credible lately.
What's that?
Okay.
The benefits of a post-truth society. There's no absolutes, then how can anything to be known to be true or false?
Then why do we have science?
Are you sure it's not meant
Post-truth.
ironic? Because post-truth society doesn't seem like something that they would literally put out there as factual. It seems more like it's... How do you call that, Nathan?
I
You-
don't know
you
what
like
word
a-
you're fishing for. Sorry, Arwen.
Hmm?
I don't know what word you're fishing for.
Right.
Yeah, but why do we have that thing called the scientific method then?
To prove or
But
disprove.
I don't think it's literal.
Yeah, it is. Science, as in the scientific method, proves or disproves your scientific prediction. A scientific prediction is also known as a hypothesis. A hypothesis has two sides. An alternative, that which you presume causes the effect, and the effect, formulated as an independent and dependent variable. Independent variable, your presumed cause of the effect. Dependent variable, the effect you think you will cause when you vary that which you assume causes the effect. You also have a null hypothesis, which states the opposite. What you assume causes the effect does not cause the effect. And upon systematic experimentation, you either prove or disprove your scientific prediction. In other words, upon variation of that which you assume causes the effect, you will either cause the effect, proving your hypothesis, or not cause the effect, disproving your hypothesis. So science, the scientific method, proves or disproves a scientific prediction. It is an empirical method. I thank you.
Right.
I
I
have a
agree
quick
to that.
question.
I was pointing at the title of the headline. I'm kind of curious. Could you scroll down a bit? Then I could see if it's actually literal or just a context put out there, like what if?
I assume that's some delusional pseudoscientists that wrote the article.
Yeah, exactly.
But is it?
Say that again, the one.
I believe that that's some delusional pseudoscientist that wrote the article.
Right, if you're ever in a position where you need to justify a change in a just-so story based on a pseudoscience assertion, then it's very useful to assert that science doesn't prove things, because then if you need to make alterations to your made-up story, you can. Oh, science is just adding to the body of evidence. What evidence? What body? Well, the body of science. No. Science is a method. It's empirical. It proves or disproves a scientific prediction. But if you're not doing that, but you're still saying the word science when you make up a story, Dr. Becky, looking at you. Yeah? Just make up stories about black holes and say science? Off to your computer to do some science, you say? Well, no, that would be the establishment of cause and effect based on a hypothesis. That's science. But if you get it wrong, and then someone says, hold on, isn't science alluding to the idea of empiricism? Oh, no. Science, meaning pseudoscience, doesn't prove things. Well, yeah, science proves things, but you're not doing that. That's why you haven't proven anything, and you're needing to change your story. So you're not doing science. This whole article's about pseudoscience and the alterations of their just-so stories. If they had scientific evidence backed with experiment, they'd have empirical data to back their claim with proof. They just don't have that, so they need to declare why they don't have it. Oh, well, science doesn't prove anything. Yeah, it does.
Okay, now Paul scrolled down and I'm
question.
actually reading the article, and I'm afraid that I was a little bit too positive in my assertions about the individual. I think they literally meant it. That's just horrific.
Well, it is funny how I noticed, like when I asked somebody on the Discord the other day if the Earth is a closed or open system, and he said it's approximately closed. There's no, it's not empirical. There's a
that was Zanuck, right?
I don't know if
Was
it's
that
Zanuck or
Zanuck? It was
Say that again, Paul.
approximately closed.
Can you repeat
How
yourself,
can
Paul?
facts be relative?
Hold on, Arwin and Chocolate. Can you repeat yourself, Paul?
They're trying to skirt between
Well done,
open
Chocolate and
closed
Arwin.
systems.
Hold on one
now
second.
Get it?
Paul,
Sorry.
can you repeat yourself, please?
Me? Okay. I said that Zanuck or Puppy, I don't remember who it was, said that, asking if the Earth was an open or closed system. They said, well, it's approximately closed. Now think about that. They've fudged the numbers. They've left a gray area. They've left a little bit of wiggle room. They can't absolutely, if they say it's absolute, which is empirical, then they're done. You know what I mean? They're done for. So they got to leave that little bit of wiggle room. Always.
Binary. It's either open or closed. Sorry, Chocolate, go ahead.
I was going to back them up with saying I heard the same thing. They're now skirting between open and closed, and it could just be approximately now when they need it to be. So it's got a door. It's got a nice revolving door. When it's open, when they need it open, it's open. When they need it closed, it's closed. It's great. That's out great.
Maxwell demon does exist. Oh my goodness. There's proof of that. Maxwell demon.
Chocolate.
I'm just
Maxwell's
baffled
demon.
about
Hold
this
on.
sentence
Hold on.
here.
Just don't throw this stuff out there. Maxwell demon's a thought experiment. Maxwell's
know,
demon
but,
is a thought experiment. It's not something that's been practically applied. It's a thought experiment.
Well, I know, but most of the ideas are concepts anyway, so that's what I'm saying. It can exist in their mind.
Sorry. No. I'm physically holding a mobile phone. It's not conceptual. Some things you can describe conceptually. I can describe the phone in my hand to you, and your idea of the phone in my hand is conceptual. The phone isn't. It's real. I'm holding it. So no, not everything's conceptual, although it can be described as such. Now, if you need everything to be conceptual because you're going to describe something that violates natural law with a thought experiment, then yeah, you're going to use the defense that everything's conceptual. No, it isn't. Just do a couple of quick shout-outs. Shout out to Rakia Life. Shout out to Cleary, never retracted. Creator made it perfect. Man can't be all-knowing. Rakia Life. Thank you very much for the super chat. Also, 5 angels. Here's $5. Please send me my NASA PhD. Yeah, sure. You just write to Tobago College and they'll send you one out. Just one more housekeeping question.
$5.
Come on,
waiting
can
for
I have a response?
Go ahead,
$4 and change.
Go ahead, Darwin.
Right. So I'm just staring at what Paul's highlighting there. And just that first sentence, it's just like, what? how can you be a factual relativist? That doesn't make any sense. If it's a fact, it's not relative. It's self-contradictory. It's what?
Factual relativist. I love that. What's the word?
Insane.
It's word salad, isn't it? Word salad.
Fact is per definition not relative. That's
Yep, that's what dementia does.
That's what you need from your scientists. Factual relativism. Marvellous, that. Yeah, we're flat earthers and we're talking about the scientific method and its empiricism. Yet the heliocentric priests in Scientific American are talking about factual relativism. It's a joke.
yeah. Get your science communicators together.
I have a quick.
There's a new terminology.
Is this why Zanuck said that it's relatively closed?
Maybe. Go ahead, whoever said that in Discord.
No, I was just going to ask a general science question.
Mike's all yours.
Yeah, just a general science question. Generally, like, what would you say is a good independent variable in general?
Something that you would presume causes the effect you've observed at step 1 of the method.
No, I thought I thought you could just come up with one.
Yeah, you come up with something that you think causes the effect. You come across boiling water and you go, I think acid caused that effect. I think the water is bubbling because there's a high acid content. So you go away, you get some water, you add some acid and go, my hypothesis is if acid, then water boils. If acid, then water not boils is my null. So when I add acid and no boiling water, I have validated my null hypothesis. In other words, I didn't get it right. I didn't prove my cause. Now, is that a good independent variable? Well, no. A good independent variable would be the cause if you guessed right straight away. If you guessed heat, then you would be, in your standards perhaps, coming up with a good independent variable. Good, bad aren't good terms in this regard because it's valid or invalid. There's no good or bad about it. It's just, do you think it causes the effect? Then you go forth and experiment and check if it does or it doesn't. Proving or disproving your hypothesis. If acid, then boiling water is my hypothesis in this example, I then experiment and prove it or disprove it. It's just as simple as that. It's not good or bad.
I think he was playing
Yeah.
Mick West when Mick West was asking John for, what's a good one?
I know what he was doing.
For
I
his
realise that.
experiment that he was trying to describe.
For real?
Yeah, bro.
Wow.
That
You hear that?
along with the hillbilly blue balls, those two got to be one of the pièces de résistance of the year.
One last housekeeping question. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Well, I can
Oh,
clearly
wait, I've been
state
waiting for this.
no,
I've been
because
waiting for
every time
this. Please.
Go on, Babs. Go ahead. Was it Babs? Or was it Earth-Shaped
me,
Investigator?
Earth-
Earth-Shaped Investigator,
yeah.
sorry.
Overall, about 1 kilogram of material is escaping our atmosphere every second, amounting to almost 90 tons per day. So there's kind of a container. It's just not a very good container because it's leaking. And Mars also lost its atmosphere. Yeah,
So where-
Fizz.org,
is that where
News
the
2016, the
approximately comes from?
Yeah.
He was in the middle of a sentence, Chocolate.
I'm sorry, I thought he was done.
No,
Just a
so that's
correction.
Fizz.org.
Oh my god.
No, you
I've just told Chocolate off. So 2 other people on the panel decide. Yeah, I'm going to interrupt him too. Go ahead, Earth-Shaped Investigator.
Yep, so Fizz.org 2016, the curious case of Earth leaking atmosphere. And also it indicates that, or it suggests that the magnetosphere, the Earth's magnetic shield, is a kind of container, not just gravity. It's a doozy.
Anybody want to take that?
So it's like a force field
Yeah, that's essentially, yeah.
in
It's not just gravity,
space
yeah.
in Narnia. Where was?
Ions from the Earth's upper atmosphere, ionosphere, which extends roughly 1,000 kilometers above Earth.
Oh, okay, so definitely in Narnia. Space.
Yeah, but I
I
mean, this is a
predicted it.
climate crisis. 90 tons a day. Somebody calls
Can I ask a question? Where did they get that 90 tons a day? How did they validate that?
This is the on the magnetospheric cake. 4 satellites called cluster.
Satellites, you
Well,
said.
10th man, since you don't have you got to have a PhD in NASA in order to be able to measure this kind of stuff.
Hold
Okay,
on.
you need very
Hold on.
precise.
Save the
equipment.
sarcasm, please. Go ahead, 10th man.
So again, everything is based on models and predictions to come up with these things. And when we ask for validation, they say satellites in space, which is another area that we are against them with no validation. So all of this 90 tons going somewhere is just like global warming, just a hoax, make up in models saying like CO2 is bad when it's good and necessary for plants and humans. It's just the system the way it is. But then when you ask for validation, oh, the satellites with their high-tech equipment figured this out. Oh, you mean the satellites in the medium where they can't exist? Just an endless circle of jerking us around.
Perfect. Thank you, 10th man. Excellent.
The housekeeping finished?
Is the housekeeping finished? You keen, Ranty? You got something to show us?
Oh, maybe, but what did I say? Patricia Steer's back.
Yay!
Yes and no.
Awesome.
Yes and no.
Yes.
She got a
no.
channel.
Yeah, there's a link in the Master Beat chat. Nathan put that out last night, I think.
Yeah, she was in Brian's chat yesterday. So Brian Staveley, check him out. And he basically reported. She wasn't a guest on his show. He just reported the fact that she was back. And she happened to turn up in the chat, and she made it explicitly clear. She's left Flat Earth. Doesn't mean she's not a Flat Earther anymore, but she's no longer part of this community. That said, she said she may very well have somebody who is a Flat Earther on her show being interviewed, but that's predominantly, primarily not what her channel will be about. So it'll be about lifestyle, narcs, psychopathy, things of that sort of nature. It's going to be a truth-seeking channel, but not specifically a Flat Earth channel. So she's not come back as Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. Her channel's called Patricia Steer, and I'm stuttering a little bit because it kind of didn't make sense. She's saying, no, I'm not back in this community. It's like, well, yeah, you kind of are because you're in a Flat Earth's chat telling us about your new channel. And she also said, you know, I made it clear I'm left Flat Earth. That's still true, but I may still interview Flat Earthers. So that kind of didn't make sense either. But I'm just trying to convey how she put it across. So I think she's not exclusively going to be a Flat Earth channel, as she was with Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. She will be covering other subjects and may, as a sideline, as she is a Flat Earther, occasionally cover it. That's the only way I could twist what she said, because it didn't wholly make sense, if I'm honest.
Well, she probably just doesn't look forward to having all those trolls back. I think that's probably why she said that, because that is also the reason of why she left, because she was sick of that, and she doesn't want to get her feet right in the middle of that back again. That's why I probably think she said that.
Well, she made that explicitly clear when she was interviewed after leaving, so it's not really speculating.
Oh, okay, right.
I don't care. She's awesome. I'm glad she's back.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, shout out to Patricia Steer.
Has anyone seen Kent Hovind and Simon Dan going back and forth?
I saw a little bit of that early on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to address one part. And, I haven't seen very much of Simon Dan, and I don't have a degree in biology. I've seen a bunch of videos about, a bunch of debates about evolution, but I'm certainly not an expert. But at one point, I think Kent Hovind was kind of hammering the point of irreducible complexity, and he made an example like a bird can't operate. A bird can't fly with something like 40% of its wing. And Simon Dan pulls up a penguin. And it was a picture of the penguin's wing. And I just sat there and I was like, are you out of your mind? A penguin's wing is fully formed for a penguin. It uses it in specific ways. It was just, it was beyond ridiculous. He was basically equating
Simon Dan is a Google Earther.
I'm
That's
surprised.
how he debunks any flat Earth claims. He says, "Oh, flat Earthers say this." He pulls it up on Google. Look what Google says. This is what Google says. Flat Earth debunked. He's a cornball.
If I may, I'm surprised he even went into an actual debate with somebody else. I've never even seen that before. On the other hand, well,
it's
Kent
not a
Hovind
debate.
is
It's
not
not a
flat
debate.
earther,
Sorry,
so-
I have to
didn't
correct
debate
you.
him.
He didn't? Oh,
Yeah, it's a sorry
course
if I said that. I've seen a bunch of debates. They're just going back and forth. Because Kent is actually pretty. He's pretty. How do you say? I don't know. Affluent in what people are taught about evolutionary biology. He's pretty good at earth science and all that. I don't think
He's been doing it for decades. So
I just want to address Brenda in the chat. Sorry. She says, penguins are birds that don't fly, so why do they have wings? They swim.
Yeah.
You dumb
I was
fuck.
like...
Sorry, let me just berate Brenda. You dumb moron. They swim with them. You complete clown.
just like orcas
They swim
have
really
fins.
fast.
They're not meant for flying either.
They're meant for swimming.
Kind of the same thing.
They're meant for swimming. They catch fish with them. That's what they do. They swim. You complete moron.
Yeah, they're perfectly
it's like
designed for swimming, but not for flying.
Can I just state that right now in the moment I cannot decide who's the biggest retard between Brenda and Simon Dan?
Hang on. She says, then why don't they have flippers and not wings?
You can call them flippers if you like. That's an arbitrary assignment by us. We call them wings. Do you think the penguins say, I wonder why we've got these wings? No! That's what we've called them, you daft cow.
We're
dealing with complete idiots. We are dealing with total idiots.
Around underwater.
We're dealing with complete idiots. Simon, Dan, and Brenda. Complete fools.
Yeah, that's why I stated that I cannot make a decision who of them is most retarded.
Yeah, it's the same argument they have with quote-unquote transitional animals that exist today. Like half in water and half out of water animals, or like fish that kind of like flop around with like little, leg reminiscent body parts. Like, it's so ridiculous. Everything now is fully formed and adapted to its environment. So it's like, that's not a good example because it's not transitioning. It's already in homeostasis.
Well, how about lungfish? Now there's a weird creature.
Yes, but it's fully formed. It's not transitioning. That's what I'm trying to say.
It is where it is because it adapted to that.
Look, the point is, a penguin isn't a transitional animal. It's not starting to grow a wing and will eventually, in 3 million years, get to the point where it can bloody fly. It's perfectly developed for its situation.
Exactly.
Right, but these are people who think whales turned into cows or the other way around. I mean...
So you're saying in a couple million years...
Sorry. He said that fish adapted. Can you prove that, please? Prove that animal... No, you got to show... When it means adapted, that means it went from one environment to the next over however long period... Or was it designed that way?
That's funny, Paul. I caught on to that too. I just didn't say anything.
I think he has.
I didn't mean that he has lungs because it adapted to that. No, it's just another type of creature, and it may adapt somewhat. I don't know what the adaptation range of lungfish are.
Anyway, quick shout out to Chico2J, who says, Brenda, why are you so stupid? Question mark. Yeah, good question. I don't know the answer to that, but thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate your support. Also, a shout out to Abraham Mohammed, whose super chat slipped off the screen. Let's get to it. Just 2 seconds. Here we go. Globe Earther. That is an intensely accurate. And then a picture of a target, I think. Don't really understand your super chat, but thank you very much for your support. Could be my lack of English comprehension.
I feel like this whole Kent Hovind was really going on top of this because I think QE also talks about it. There would have to be endless fields of dead transitional animals, meaning the first fish to supposedly adapt to the land try and go out onto the land, which to me sounds like humans walking into the water and drowning over and over again for generations. It seems like a mental illness more or less, to go outside of what you're already completely formed into. Like, it makes no sense. Like, how many times did the fish die in order for there to be lungfish? I don't know. It makes no sense.
So that would be the equivalent of a human trying to go into the water and actually breathing, and literally trying to breathe, as opposed to just swimming, and he can't swim, so he drowns. But they're talking about literally a human saying, "Oh, let me give this a whirl," going into the water and just trying to breathe. That's how stupid this is.
3 million dead later, one of them succeeded, and he bred with every lovely lady there was, and now we have lungmen.
And how will it procreate?
Now,
when it's the only survivor with this lung mutation, doesn't make a lot of sense. And in
like
general, mutations among species actually slow down the chances for them to procreate, because the other creatures will take note of the deviation and see it as a less viable mate. That's the practice in nature. So it doesn't work. Evolution never works.
Yeah, that's why we don't try to.
So according to evolution, did penguins used to have wings and the ability to fly, but then they just were like, they landed in Antarctica one day and were like, no, we're going to stay here. This will be better. Instead of flying, like, how do we know that the evolution didn't go the other way? Why? So in 1,000 years, are they going to have ability to fly, and then seagulls are going to have the ability to fly underwater?
No, they're just transitioning, so they're halfway in between. They used to be frogs, so really they're just halfway in between.
That would explain what a puffin is, right? The puffins are just transitional penguins.
So we got post-op penguins now. It's awesome.
You got it. Transitioning.
Wait, let's just take that example he just said. So if some birds flew to Antarctica, they would all die.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like,
yeah, but that's okay.
If
it's
they
like
ended up there.
Right,
that's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, it
As
does
opposed
make
to flying
perfect
away,
sense.
they're just going to be like, no, we're going to die out until one of us figures this out.
Yeah. Like the plot of Unbreakable. Have you ever seen Unbreakable? So basically, the bad dude says, look, out there somewhere is 1 in a million that can adapt and, it won't get hurt in a severe accident. So if I cause enough severe accidents, like drowning the men to eventually come across your Aquaman, that's what he does. He just causes plane crashes and car accidents and train crashes until eventually he finds Bruce Willis. And there you go, that's natural selection. So yeah, you just drown a few men and eventually one of them will have lungs that are capable of doing it. And if you can just drown people indefinitely for 3 million years, obviously they'll adapt eventually. That's natural selection, right? Or they'll all die.
Bullhead selection.
Or they'll all die. But either way, progress is progress.
Timothy Marchant. Flat earthers completely butchering evolution. I am spectacularly unsurprised. Timothy Marchant, I'm your friggin' Huckleberry. Why don't you come on in here to the Discord server and tell us about evolution?
Shout out to Lightwave. Hold on one second. Shout out to Lightwave says make and female had to adapt at the same. Oh, male, I think. Male and female had to adapt at the same time. Thank you very much for the super chat, Lightwave, and also a shout out to RSD. He says a penguin is not a cow, but you can think of it as a cow. Thank you very much, Alexander. Not RSD, it's just given the financial
It was
Alexander.
once a cow.
Just 1 second, sorry. Shout out to Alexander. Just got your name wrong while I was scrolling up to find you. Thank you very much for the super chat. Hey QE, hey Sleeping Warrior. Hey QE, hey Sleeping Warrior.
Morning.
Morning.
Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, hey, hey. Yo, yo. What up?
So what was the definition of evolution
Timothy
again?
Marchant. Timothy Marchant, we're still waiting for you to arrive in Discord, Mr. Keyboard Warrior. Bring your evolution in.
Can Timothy give the definition for evolution?
Hold on, got a definition of something.
First thing we're going to ask you is the definition of evolution, then the scientific theory of evolution, then the hypotheses that were frigging validated for evolution. Let's see how you butcher it, clown show.
Quick shout out.
I actually want to do
just a quick shout out to Verum. He says transitioning penguins love hormone therapy. Thank you very much for the super chat.
I wanted to address something also, and I wanted to hear. I couldn't remember if I'd brought this up to QE before, but one of the things that people use as a proof is one of them is proof of evolution. One of them
What is evolution?
Right. Wait a second. So they...
No, I'm not waiting. You have to define the thing that you're providing proof for.
I'm not providing the proof. I'm saying...
Well, then you have no proof.
Exactly. Okay, I don't think evolution happens. So...
Well, what's evolution?
I guess... an organism changing over time? I have no idea.
An organism changing over time sounds like a summary of the second law of thermodynamics to me.
Well, so this person, a lot of people use for proof of evolution is the similarity between genes.
What's evolution?
You've already asked.
See, we're going to go round and round here. You don't. Okay, listen. If I'm providing evidence for a banana, I'm going to first define what the banana is. Then I'm going to provide evidence for it. You don't say this is evidence for something and then don't provide the definition for it. Right?
Evolution is not scientific.
I don't care whether it's scientific or not. I want to know what it is.
Right.
Then we'll deal with that, whether it's scientific after that.
What I'm trying to get at is my response to what they said. So
that's fine.
They were saying this is proof, and I was saying, well, if you were to reify what you think, similarities between genes would be an effect. It wouldn't be a cause, so you couldn't use it as a proof anyways.
Where'd you get genes?
Genes?
Yeah.
Where did I get them?
Yeah.
It's a trap.
No, play along. We know you're on our side. Just play along.
From your mommy and daddy.
Hold on, Arwin. Hold on. Where'd you get genes? It's a fair enough question, right?
I mean, I got it from where I was taught about genes.
Where'd DNA come from? Because if you're saying evolution, whatever that is, I'm thinking that it's natural. So I want to see the natural formation of DNA.
Thank you. That's what I want to see. Thank you. That's
by itself.
Really good point.
DNA. Yep.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah.
DNA would be lots and lots of information, right?
You'd need a knower for that, I think.
Hold on. DNA's lots and lots of information, correct?
Yep. There is information in DNA, yes.
And could that information come to pass just by nature? Can nature just create information of its own volition?
I think he tried to say it.
How is DNA communicated?
Yeah, I'm not even talking about the information yet. I'm just talking about chemically. We didn't get the information yet. We're just talking.
Okay, I can play to that.
Oh, okay.
It's all right. Let me play to that. chemically, yeah. Right, with enough time, you will have the composition just naturally form. So you've got like this soup, and it's all of various different things. Let me get there. Let me just play along. So you've got this primordial soup. It's like an ooze, and it's got all of the things you need just mixed up together. And then, by chance, the temperatures were all correct, and a bit of electricity was added to the mix, and then there you go. You've got humans.
Boy, that's a wonderful story.
Wow.
Given enough time, wouldn't we come up? We'd come up with shoe, right? Given enough time.
See, this guy knows what I'm talking about. You see, it's just a question of time. If you've got enough time, then yeah, the wind will eventually blow the sand dune into a sandcastle. You just need enough time.
So basically, when you look at shoes, like Crocs are a transitional shoe. Sandals, transitional, right?
Oh my God.
Look, no, I know where this guy's going, and I'll just agree with him. Yeah, given enough time, right, in that primordial soup and ooze, with a bit of lightning, yeah, you can go from Crocs to sandals. That's right.
So
can you show that for us, please?
Well, you'd have to bend a lot of donuts first. Once we bend enough donuts and give enough time, then we should be good.
Nah, time's not on your side here because it also is directly proportional to entropy, so you're still screwed. More time, the worse it gets.
So is the Earth now actually evolving because it's changing from open to closed system?
No, it's just both at the same time. Whatever you need, if you're a fundy.
Maybe that's a question for John.
John LeBon, we're talking about evolution because we're trying to move away from your two pole stars. That's why. Or are you going to come back here and try to push that nonsense again? John LeBon.
Two pole stars? What was he talking about?
Some two pole star. He's on that Timmy clown nonsense. Haven't you gotten away from that since 2015?
No, he was talking about...
Come on back on here. I'll whip you around by the short hairs for a little bit. Come on.
I know the answer to that. I was watching him the other day, so no, he hasn't. I did point it out in the chat, and he did say, to be fair, if you think I'm guilty of a fallacy, then just point it out, so I'll do that now. Thanks, John LeBon, for being here. So, essentially, if you use the star rotation as proof of a sphere Earth, you must first assume you're on a sphere Earth in order to make that example. So you'd say, I think you phrase it something like, the flat earthers don't have any explanation for the star rotation in the southern hemisphere. Well, by using the word hemisphere, you're automatically assuming that in your example, you started a position in Australia, and then when you travel up to the UK, note the word up to the UK, then you're assuming that you're travelling around a ball to observe stars antipode from where you began on that ball. Well, that's begging the question. Assuming that you're travelling to the other side of a ball to make a star observation is ignoring the fact that during the entire journey, the stars are above you the entire way. They never go under your own arse. But you're assuming that the stars that you saw above your head when you began the journey are now under your arse when you arrive at the end of your journey. And then you make your observation and affirm the consequent. So the way that the fallacy is formulated is if P, if the Earth is a sphere, then Q, I will observe star rotation. Q, I observe star rotation. Therefore P, Earth is a sphere. So it's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy where you assume your outcome. You assume that the Earth's a sphere and you're travelling antipodal to make a star observation. Because you've travelled antipodal in your assumption and made a star observation, you've proved the Earth's a spherical surface. Well, no, you've assumed it's a spherical surface in your example.
There you go, John LeBon.
John LeBon, guy's a baller.
Yeah, he's in the after show. Give us about 4 minutes, John LeBon. We'll meet up with you, okay?
I think I noticed a mistake in what I was saying before about shoe. I think that's using synthetic materials. I think you need to use natural wood, and then that will eventually turn into the table in my kitchen. It's got to be natural material.
You're right, though. If wood, then clog. That's a valid hypothesis right there.
Yeah, you got to use the natural material. Otherwise, it won't work.
Yeah, natural material. Forget about phenomena. Just as long as it's natural. That's all you need.
Right. Nature. It's got to come from nature, right?
Yeah,
well, they don't know what nature is. They don't know the difference between natural and synthetic.
Well, everything's natural.
Right.
I'm a man. If I make it, it's still natural because I'm a man and I'm in nature. So therefore, if I've got the stuff from nature or created it entirely synthetically, that's still natural because I made it.
Yeah.
That's super nature.
Well, it's synthetic, but no, it's not. It's nature because I've made it and I'm natural.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, you're natural material. I didn't think about it.
Don't sigh.
Kiwi.
This is what we get.
Yes.
I've heard you say something about amino acids and DNA. Are you saying DNA isn't made of amino acids or something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah. Brenda back in the day said DNA is made of amino acids, or DNA is made of protein, one or the other. Yeah, that's what she meant.
Is that just not proven?
Not proven. DNA. What is DNA?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Deoxyribose nucleic acid. Does that sound like a friggin' protein to you?
It's an acid.
Yeah, it's got acid in common. Jeez, oh man.
I mean, ribose.
Well, yeah, I mean, you just haven't given.
Isn't ribose a sugar?
Yes, it is.
Nucleic acid.
Yes. It's got a nucleobase.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't sound like one. You're right.
Yeah.
No, you're all wrong. Brenda has
Profound.
smashed you in this argument. She smashed you in every argument. You just don't understand. Another shout out to Abraham Muhammad, who says, no scientific evidence that the stars go under my ass. Yeah, right on. It's just part of an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy, Abraham Muhammad. Thank you very much indeed for your super chat. And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, then this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley. I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
System to produce it.
Da-da-dun, da-da-dun.
There you go, John LeBon.
Hey, I got
You guys hear
something
my-
on evolution.
You hear my
Hold
question?
on a second. John LeBon, radio check.
2212.
Got it. What's up with your pole stars?
Do they exist?
Do they exist? I'm not here making a claim. Or do you have a claim or not?
Yeah,
I'll just ask you if they exist, that's all.
Say stars, plural, 2, no. 1, yeah. 2, no.
There's 2. Yeah, there is. Yeah,
You think there's 2? Do you think there's a
Shut up,
one
Brenda.
pole star?
You think there's a southern pole star that you can observe?
I'm just asking, is there only one pole star?
That's what I just said. 1, not 2. I asked if you said plural, pole stars, and I
So
said
do you
no.
think, like, if you were to travel to a different country, you'd see the same thing in the night sky?
Sometimes.
So, like,
John,
you think
do
what you see in the night
you'd
sky is
see
not
it-
dependent on your location?
John, do you think that you would see it when looking due south from other locations?
Well, I'm just saying, like, the night sky, like, is it the exact same no matter where you are on so-called Earth?
Yeah, the answer is no. We know it's not. But if we live on a ball, it should be, right?
I don't know about if we live on a ball.
Stars should be different every single night.
No. If we live on a sphere, we should be able to look due south for two observers in the south, say South America and Australia. They should look due south and they should see the same stars just rotated because we're on a sphere looking south, right?
Well, like, people in Australia should see the same thing as people in Britain. Is that what you're saying?
No, people in Australia should see the same thing as people in South America, just rotated slightly because they're on the other side of the ball, right?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Guess what? There is no evidence that people look south at the same time and see the same stars, but everyone believes it.
But is that because, like in South Africa, they're in daytime, so they can't see the stars?
No, South America, and so in winter you can get South America and you can get Australia. You can get them in the same period of where it's dark for both. One's morning, the other one's evening, but it's dark for the both. But they don't see the same stars when looking due south.
What do they see?
Well, on a sphere, they've got to see the same stars
That's
when
not what he
looking due
asked.
south.
That's not what he asked.
Yeah, like what do they see though? Like I'm curious.
Well, they don't see the same stars. So they see different stars. That's the point. They see them at a different location when looking due south.
Like a completely different night sky.
Sure. No, not completely different night sky. They just don't see the same stars when looking due south. They see...
Do they see like different constellations or something?
We have something called declination. And declination tells us that when two observers are looking south, they can't actually accept what the compass tells them for south because they've got to override what the compass says for south and change it by like 12 to 14 degrees, depending on what part of the world you're in. Now that all of a sudden...
But do they see like different constellations? Is that what you're saying?
In different directions.
I think the point he's making is that
well,
the
the
due
distance
south...
of time zones implies that they're not seeing the stars at the same time. They'd see it, at their particular time of night. And if the stars are rotating over the flat plane, they would have to wait their turn for the carousel of stars to swing around to wherever they are to see whatever they would locally.
No, that's not his point. No. Let me reiterate Sleeping Warrior's point. The point is specifically regards to where they are looking, based on the geometry of a ball model. In this instance, he's made it clear, due south.
Yeah, they've got to be looking due south.
Do they see the same stars just at different times, or are you saying they see a completely different set of constellations?
They don't see the same stars when looking due south. One of them sees it like 12 degrees one way, the other one sees it like 14 degrees the opposing way. And when you put that onto a Gauss-Peterson projection, that all of a sudden makes it kind of look like the Earth might not necessarily be a sphere. Might not be flat, but it's definitely not a sphere because they've both got to be looking south. But we have this thing called declination, magnetic declination, that is a correction to what your compass tells you is due south. And you're meant to override that with a declination adjustment, which appears to be the case, that it's there simply to make it look like you're looking south when you're not actually looking south. So in other words, you've got to decide, is the compass telling you where north and therefore south is, or do you override that with some adjustment called declination? And then if you do that, that then supports the idea that we might not be spherical. But if you don't do that and you accept what south is, then all of a sudden it is flat.
Okay, but I'm still trying to establish, are you saying that in South America they see different constellations or just at a different time?
They're not looking south to see the same thing.
Why aren't you answering my question? This is a simple... I'm just trying to learn here. Like, you said that they see different stars. So I'm like, what do you mean different stars? What does that mean?
Well, I just tried to answer you, but you interrupted.
Not the same.
One of them looks southeast, the other one looks southwest, and then they see what they are told is the same stars, but they're not looking south. So you have to decide as your compass.
So they do see the same stars now.
Say again.
So you're saying that they do see the same stars, the same constellations?
No. Let me try a third time. The direction that they should be looking is the same in all instances. Due south. Anthony's point is that we're told, no. Due south isn't where your compass points. It's over there. You adjust for declination. So look in a different direction. Whereas on the sphere model, they should all look due south, but they don't. That's the point.
So you're saying that, like, in Australia and South America, for instance, if they both look due south, they should see the same night sky, is what you're saying?
On a sphere?
If they're on a sphere.
Yeah. Do you agree or disagree?
Do you mean to see the same stars at the same time, or just see the same constellations at different times?
No, at the same time, if they both look south at the same time, they should see the same sky, but rotated. One's on the other side of the Earth. So one should see upside down to the other. But they should see the same stars. They should see the pole star, or the apparent pole star, Sigma Octantis. They should see the Southern Crux. One of them would see it at, say, 10 o'clock, and the other one would see it at 4 o'clock. But they should see the same stars, just rotated, because we're on a sphere that's rotating around an axis.
So you're saying they should see the same constellations then?
No, they should see the same constellations, but rotated 180 degrees, because South America to Australia is basically halfway around the globe.
So do they see the same constellations in, say, like Australia and South Africa? Do they see that?
No, No, they don't look south to see the same
They don't.
constellations. One of them looks one way, the other one looks the other way, and they call it declination. And I say, well, that appears to be a correction for your compass because it isn't actually a sphere, but they're telling us it makes it a sphere if you declinate. And I'm wondering, well, why can't we just look straight south and see the same stars?
I work from like the very start here, like to work out what do we believe they actually see. And so I've been in Australia and in South Africa, and I specifically remember being able to see the Southern Cross in both.
I don't care what you can work out. I want to see what you can demonstrate real world with actual observations. What do you see in America compared to what do you see in Australia when looking due south?
Yeah, okay, that's good. But I'm still trying to establish, do you believe that in South Africa and Australia, just for one example, that they do see the same constellations? Like, do you agree that that's real?
South America.
Or South America. Look, I haven't been in South America, so I can't say that they can see the Southern Cross. I don't know. But definitely in South Africa, I could. And Australia.
We're off the main point here. You said there were 2 celestial points, right?
Well, I was under the impression that there is, but I'm here to learn. So if you're saying there's not,
well, let me get rid of your impression right now. From Cornell University, there is no South Star.
I didn't say South Star though. So
yeah,
you
that's
just made straw man.
And the 1 minute astronomer.
That didn't take you very long.
The 1 minute astronomer, clown show. The 1 minute astronomer, right? In the northern hemisphere, the bright and easy to find star is Polaris. Right?
Is there a hemisphere? Because
this makes it easy for stargazers and navigators. Shut up, John LeBon, before I shut you up. But in the southern hemisphere, it is different. I'm going to shut you up. Because you just can't seem to control your verbal diarrhea while I'm crushing you. So I'll shut you up. Is that better? By sheer bad luck, the South Celestial Pole, the imaginary point in the sky. Do you got that, John LeBon? Imaginary point in the sky. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Did somebody just mute me? Because all I did was ask you, are there hemispheres or not?
I just muted you because you were over talking me.
Celestial lights are not spheres. Done.
Hold on.
So, yeah, you can talk now because
Hold on,
I
Arwin.
just pummeled your horse.
Hold on. So far, what I've got from JLB is that's not the point he's making. Regardless if you call the South Celestial Point a point about which the stars rotate or a star, isn't necessarily an address to Anthony's point. Now, personally, I'd rather move on to JLB's point about hemispheres, because that was my point, as he rightly pointed out. So, do we have hemispheres to assume we're travelling antipodal? Yeah, that's my point. That's the affirming the consequent part of this claimed proof of sphericity.
So what if we just stop using the word hemispheres then, and we just say, like, say, Australia, Britain, we just use the names of the locations?
No problem.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Give us your example without using the
Cool,
word
so
hemisphere.
say Australia and South Africa. Do they see the same constellations in the night sky?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
And I say yes, they do.
Yeah, they do,
I'm happy to give my answer to that question.
That's nice. How does this prove anything, or what does it prove?
I'm just trying to establish, like, what do we agree on here? Do we agree at least that in Australia and South Africa they see the same constellations? Do we at least agree on that?
We agree. But without using the word hemisphere, how does this in any way, shape or form get you to form a conclusion that Earth is spherical?
Well, I'm just trying to start off with what is the empirical evidence. So you're agreeing at least with the constellations.
He doesn't even... empirical evidence? What's empirical mean?
Empirical means something that you can sense with your senses, so sight or sound or what have you.
Wrong.
I think the etymology comes from, like, the Greek empirikos or something.
It's observable, repeatable, testable, and falsifiable, John LeBon.
Is that your definition, or are you saying this is
It's
someone
not
else's
my
definition?
definition. No, it's
Whose definition is it?
of empirical.
Whose definition is it?
Oh my God.
Magic tricks are empirical.
Empirical means what you pick up with your senses. Where did you get that?
Yeah, this is not.
That's what I said, and then he said I was wrong, and then he gave me some other definition. I said, "Whose definition is that?" And then he's like, "Oh my God, is this how he normally is?"
You have a citation for the definition of empirical that you used? I've never heard that.
Listen, guys, if the Earth is flat, if the Earth is flat,
everyone
I'm
shut
your
up a
friend
second,
because
please.
I can come along and
Everyone,
ask you
just for 1 second.
questions that no one else can ask you. So, like, you shouldn't treat me as an enemy. I'm not your enemy.
Nobody's treating you as an enemy. Like, all we're trying to do is get to the point where we use these stars to prove something, and you're saying we're trying to establish what we agree on. Okay, we agree. South Africa and Australia, yeah, they both see the same stars. Fine. What does this prove?
Cool. Now, like, say, in the United States and Britain, do they see the same constellations as each other?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
And do those two places see different constellations to Australia and South Africa?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Thank you, Nathan. You're a lot better at answering questions than some of these other people. And that's all I'm asking, just simple
What
questions.
does that prove?
Yeah, so what, exactly,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
you're saying that the distances between the places
conversation
in
going
the
on
north
here.
and the
Hello,
south.
conversation going on. So, what does this prove then? We can see different stars in different positions. Okay, great.
Well, is it significant, or is it something that we should ignore?
I don't know. I don't use this as a proof of something.
Shape of the Earth.
I don't know. I don't use this as a proof of something. Hello, why am I being interrupted? I don't know. I'm not using this as an example. But you have made it overtly clear that by the fact that we can't explain it, somehow that lends credence to sphericity. So I'm asking you, given that you declared that on your show the other night, what it actually proves and how it proves it.
Well, that would depend how you use the term prove. Like, I try and avoid that term, personally.
Why? Hold on. Why? Why would you avoid the word prove?
Because the word prove means different things to different people. Like, it's a very ambiguous term these days.
Oh, it's got a definition.
There's supposedly a book that's called itself 100 Flat Earth Proofs or something. And it's like, well, hold
sorry,
on.
I don't need your straw man. I don't need this. Is that my book? Who cares? Sorry, proof to test by experiment. If you look up the definition in the, I think it's the Oxford Dictionary. To test by experiment, that would be proof. So why would you avoid this word?
Because I'm not so sure that I can prove the shape of the Earth. Certainly I can't prove it to any of you guys.
So this star example is useless then?
No, I use it to make inferences. I like the word inference.
All
I
right.
can draw inferences from information.
No worries. What does it infer?
Well, if I look at the so-called Earth in these different countries, and some countries seem to see the same constellations, in those countries the stars appear to rotate. It's just apparent rotation. It doesn't mean that they are rotating, but it's apparent. And then I see there's all these other countries, and they see a different set of constellations, and there's an apparent rotation in the other direction. I think you can draw the inference. I think you can draw the inference from that.
Let him finish. John. Just let him finish.
Go ahead.
Sorry, because they rotate in a different direction. Carry on.
Is he just going to keep doing this laughing?
I'm going to stop him. I'll stop him.
I remember he did it last time as well. It's a very juvenile behaviour. So now, like I was saying, if there's one set of countries or one set of locations where there seems to be the same constellations and they appear to rotate in the sky one way, and then there's another set of countries or locations with a different set of constellations that appear to rotate a different way, I think you can make the inference from that the best model is a ball model. That's what I'm here to say.
Sorry, I thought we agreed.
But I could be wrong. I'm not here to preach that. So if I'm wrong, that's cool. Like,
I thought we agreed. I thought we agreed at the beginning of this that we wouldn't assume hemispheres. So what, you're going to just replace the word hemisphere by?
But I didn't. I just gave you the reason.
I
for my
hadn't quite
inference.
finished. Are you like this all the time? Are you like this all the time? It's just juvenile, JLB. I'm in the middle of a sentence. Are you like this all the time? Bit triggered. I'm in the middle of a sentence, my friend. So you've substituted the word hemisphere for ball model. I thought we agreed that that was unreasonable. It's not an inference, it's an assumption. And affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy where you, still in the middle of talking, are you like this all the time? What's the problem? I'm still pummeling your assumption of a ball model, a pseudoscience reification of a model that we don't live on. So, no, that's not an inference. That's you begging the question of a model that you're going to force us to assume. No, that's not an inference either. It's an assumption of a model. I expect better, JLB. I thought you knew we didn't live on models. Ground's not the terrain. I've heard you say that a few times.
You're just misrepresenting me. There's no
I've heard you say the ground is not the terrain on multiple occasions. I thought you appreciated that we don't live on a model, but yet you're drawing inference from a model that we don't live on. Why would you do such a crazy thing? Very poor logic, JLB.
No, I'm saying if we draw the inferences from the evidence, this is the best model.
From the
There's a
evidence,
difference.
it's the best
Can you
model.
see
You've
the
just
difference?
you've just strapped the word model onto the end of your statement rather than at the beginning now, haven't you? You're still drawing influence from an assumption of a model. We don't live on a model. Second time I've said it. You've made it explicitly clear on your show on multiple occasions that you appreciate we don't live on a model. The map is not the terrain, JLB. This is poor logic on your part to draw inference from a begging the question fallacy of a model. Poor logic, my friend.
So I established the evidence, and then I said, here's my inference from the evidence. Does that
No,
not
you
make
assumed
sense
a
to you?
model. That's not an inference. That's assuming a model. I've said it. That's the third time.
But it's not assuming. I don't. Maybe this word assumption. Maybe we're using the word differently. Like,
No,
what does
you are
assumption mean?
assuming a model. I said hemisphere assumes a model and made that clear. That's not reasonable. That's part
I
of
haven't
affirming
even used the word
consequence.
hemisphere though, so now you're misrepresenting me. There's no
You
need
said
to do
model,
that.
sphere model.
You said globe model.
Yeah, he's not getting it, chocolate. Yeah, that's your assumption of the same exact thing. Hemispheres model, that's a sphere. Same thing, JLB. Same exact assumption. Same affirming the consequent, in fact. Just a formal logical fallacy. Poor logic. Fourth time.
You're also ignoring all the other things that it could be that could explain what
no,
it is
no,
you're
no.
talking about.
No, we're not doing
I'm
experiments.
not ignoring them. I would love to hear them. Tell me. I'm here to
No,
listen.
JLB. We're
You're
trying
here
to reach
listen.
the point.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. He also said that the stars were rotating in different directions.
We'll come to that.
From the north versus south, John
We'll come
LeBon.
to that. We'll come to that. I just want him to
Okay.
appreciate that in his example, he has to assume a spherical model.
I haven't assumed anything though.
You
I
said
established
the word,
evidence,
you
and I said,
have.
here's my
That's
inference.
incorrect, John. I'm going to have to cut you off, reasonably so, because that's wrong. First you used hemisphere, then you used sphere model.
No, I didn't.
Are you
So did
Brandeing
you
on
discount
us?
egg shape?
Sorry, it's a nutter so
discount
far.
oval?
Nutter didn't just juxtapose it with a sphere model by inference. You didn't do that. I'm wrong, am I? Nutter.
I didn't assume hemisphere. I haven't used the terms north and south or anything. Like, you guys are just making that
Model,
up.
sphere model. Sphere model. That has hemispheres, doesn't it, JLB?
So from the evidence that we've agreed on, and only you agreed, the rest will try to avoid the questions because I think they knew where this was going. But
Shut
at least you
up.
agreed with me. So from that evidence, can we draw inferences or not?
I'm asking you. That's the
Friggin'
sorry.
clown.
Everyone, can you stop interrupting? It's hard enough as it is. So what? You're asking your burden proof reversal fallacy now? Is it asking me to justify your claim in this regard? I don't make any
No,
claims.
all I've done is ask you, do you
I'm
agree
still
with
in the
that
middle of a
empirical
sentence
evidence?
trying to
I
answer
think you
you.
do.
Still in the middle of a sentence, John LeBon. Do you do this all the time? So I'm trying to reach a point where you, the one who has this example and tries to reverse the burden of proof by asking us for our justification, that's where this began. Yeah, you say flat earthers can't explain, where you draw inference from a model you assume. And I'm trying to get you to understand that that's a logical fallacy. But we're struggling, aren't we? And you're asking me to now explain it. That's called a burden of proof reversal fallacy. Another lapse in logic, John LeBon.
Can I respond? I don't want to interrupt anybody. Am I good to go?
Come on, man. Are you being serious? He's not
Chocolate.
talking.
Okay, so I think I can respond now without interrupting anybody. So all I tried to do was establish what's the evidence that we can agree on. And then from that, I'm saying I'm drawing inferences. Now, if you say that I can't draw those inferences, that's fine. But you're calling them assumptions. That's a very different thing. An inference is not an assumption. And that's obvious. And I think you know that.
Obvious that the ball model is where we're living and it's a fair inference to compare.
No, even if the best model is a ball,
you
it
know
doesn't
that
mean
no
we live on a
one's.
ball.
You're not interrupting anybody now. You know that you're not interrupting it. I've waited for you to finish. Now you are interrupting me, having simultaneously, while no one was talking, asked 4 times if you had permission to speak. Now you're interrupting me. Can you please not do that, John LeBon? Yeah, when there's a long pause and no one's saying anything, you don't need to ask for permission. Just need to give your answer rather than use it as an opportunity to gather your thoughts by asking repeatedly for permission to speak when no one's talking. But when I'm talking, I prefer you weren't. No, John LeBon, you are making an assumption. Are being the appropriate word because your model assumes a radius value. It's a sphere, my friend. That would be an assumption, not an inference, just a logical fallacy. If P, Earth's this sphere model, then star rotation, Q. star rotation, Q. Therefore, this sphere model, I'm assuming. Not inference. Logical fallacy. That's the 5th time I've explained your logical fallacy, and you're saying as a rebuttal, I've gathered the evidence and just draw inference. That's not assumption. You're wrong. You're assuming a spherical model. 6 times.
Yeah, but his model is better than ours, even though we don't
My
have.
God, why do people let there be pauses?
Yeah, so again, I don't think we're using the word assumption the same way. So I'm saying, here's the evidence, here's my inference from the evidence, and you're calling that an assumption. But it's not the same thing, and I think you know that.
That's a nutter.
They're saying the same thing.
Nutter. So if I see star rotation, then the Earth is a penis model. The Earth is a penis model because I see star rotation. That's not an assumption. I'm just drawing inference from the evidence that the Earth's a giant dick. Not an assumption, right, John LeBon? I'm not assuming dick.
That's right, it's just a poor inference.
A poor inference.
It's not an
so
assumption,
when
it's just a poor
it's a sphere, it's a reasonable inference. When it's a giant dick, it's not. They're both models.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're recognising your logical fallacy now. Just a logical fallacy, John
Is this
LeBon.
guy
If P then
serious?
Q, Q therefore P. It's called affirming the consequent. It's a formal logical fallacy. If my model, then star rotation. Star rotation, therefore my model. Your model being an assumption. Like Earth being a dick is just an assumption. You just claim now that your inference is better than my inference, even though they're directly paralleling each other.
So you think penis Earth is
No,
parallel
it's
to
a
ball
parallel to make a farce of your assumption that you don't think you've got?
No, it's clearly not an assumption.
Oh, clearly Earth is just a sphere. We can just assume that. It's just a given, right? It's a given. It's a sphere without any assumption. That's called begging the question. So it's automatically your outcome, is it? Another logical fallacy.
Well, clearly
3
not,
so
because
far.
I tried to go through the evidence first.
3
So clearly
logical
that's not the
fallacies so
case.
far. That's called begging the question. So you're just going to automatically assume it's not a poor inference because Earth just is spherical. Begging the question fallacy. 3 fallacies so far. For a man who goes on and on about how wonderful you are about fallacy, you're pretty crap with fallacies, mate.
Keep saying evidence, right? Well, what do things in the sky? How does anything in the sky evidence what we're standing on?
I don't think he's on about
You
the
don't
Earth
think
anymore.
that the what's in the
asking
sky
him,
is
Arwen.
relevant?
You
Like
tell
you're
me
saying that
without
the
you tell
night
us
sky
how
isn't
is it relevant
to the shape of the Earth?
You tell us without assuming the shape of the Earth you're standing on, i.e. in this instance with your assumption a ball. Without assuming that, how can you draw inference? That was my original question. How the hell do you use star rotation to infer the ground you're standing on without just assuming a model?
Well, is there a relationship between the night sky and the shape of the Earth? Is there?
I'm
'Cause I
not
think there
making
is,
this
but if you think there
example.
isn't, that's
You
cool.
are. I don't make this example. Burden of proof reversal fallacy times 2. We're just going to keep going through the same list of fallacies, John LeBon.
I think you're going to keep going through the same list of fallacies because it makes you sound smart, but you're not actually addressing the issue, and the issue is the evidence.
Not make me sound smart. I'm detailing each logical fallacy as you use it. Begging the question is where you automatically assume your outcome is true, which you declared by you saying, no, it's automatically assumed to be a ball. It's a reasonable logical inference. No, it's an assumption. That's called begging the question. When you assert that star rotation proves the model, that's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy detailed 4 times by me. If P, Earth is a sphere model, then Q, I will observe star rotation on the other side of my antipodal model that I'm travelling on, even though we don't live on this model. I do observe star rotation, Q, therefore I'm on this bloody model I've assumed. P, that's an affirming the consequent, not me making myself sound smart, detailing with your words and your example that you are making, and I'm not going to justify what it proves. Yeah? That's a burden of proof reversal fallacy, another fallacy you've used that I've detailed, not to sound smart, to highlight your logical fallacy.
Okay, I'll respond. And I think when you use all these logical fallacy examples, like it does make you sound smart to people who don't know logic. I think it does do that, and I think you know that.
Why,
But it
thank
doesn't make
you.
it sound
Do
smart to
I
people
do
who
I
know
sound
logic.
smart to you because you don't know logic? Because you've fallen into 3 logical fallacy traps, and I'm the one detailing them.
You can
So
say
if you're
that I've
saying
done 10 logical
by
fallacy traps, it
extension,
doesn't make it true.
I sound smart to you, then I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you. Yeah, I would sound smart to you because I do know what these logical fallacies you are using are. You do not. Therefore, by comparison, I'm smart and you are not. You're fallacious. Thank you.
So you do agree that's why you're doing it, though?
No, I'm doing it because you are utilising logical fallacy, and I'm picking apart the fallacies you are using and detailing the name of the fallacy and how the fallacy is formulated using your example. That's why I'm doing it. Not so I can just appear smart. No.
What's the false equivalence fallacy?
False equivalence is where you... Sorry, why are you testing me on logical fallacy now?
Well, you just told me you're smarter than me at it. So what's a false
Sorry, have
equivalence
I
fallacy?
used a false equivalency?
Aren't you here to learn? I thought you
I'm
were
sorry.
here to learn.
Sorry, have I used a false equivalency?
I think you have, but you know logical fallacies better than me, so maybe I'm wrong.
Well, maybe you can tell me what I've said, formulate it into that fallacy, and then explain what that fallacy is, like I've done with all of your logical fallacies. So I'd like you to tell me what I've said that is a false equivalence, what the first thing was, what the second thing was that was supposed to be equivalent but wasn't. I'm sorry, I'm almost detailing the fallacy for you now, aren't I? Don't want to appear too smart.
All right, so
Yeah,
if
please
I
do.
say
You're
that from the
crushing
evidence, I think you can draw a ball model, and then you say from the evidence you can draw a penis model, I think that's a false equivalence. But maybe there's a better name for that fallacy, so you can tell me.
So explain how it's false.
Because
How
a
one is
ball and a
not
penis are
equivalent to
the
the
same
other.
shape. Clearly.
How one is not equivalent.
The phallic fallacy.
Do you
Sorry.
agree that a ball and a penis are not the same shape?
So I could only compare it to a ball and a ball. So if it's like a ball model, then it's like a ball model. That wouldn't be much of an equivalent now, would it? It would be something that's identical to the other thing. So you're saying I'm not allowed to have an equivalent in equivalency. If you have something that's equivalent to something else, it's immediately false. It must be identical, i.e. 2 balls in this example. That's preposterous.
Okay, so again, are you saying that a penis and a ball are the same shape?
Oh my god.
No, they're different shapes. That's why one would be an equivalent model. I was comparing models, not shapes, just different models that one would assume. One being designed to be preposterous. I could have used a square, but it wouldn't have got a laugh. I am trying to be funny. Yeah. Dick Earth
Well,
makes
normally
it...
you have a good sense of humour. It's one of the things I like.
Dick
about it.
Earth
But on
makes
this
it
occasion, I
overtly
think you've
clear
made a
that
false
it's a
equivalence between
preposterous
a ball
model.
and a penis model.
Yeah, one model seems reasonable to you because you like to beg the question of that model. So of course it's reasonable to assume that model. One doesn't seem reasonable to you, so therefore is a false equivalence, even though both are models. One being a silly model because it's called a penis, the other being a silly model because it's a sphere you're assuming. Both are silly to me, but because they're not the same shape, they're not equivalent.
Yeah, I don't think a ball and a penis are the same shape.
No, they're not, but I'm
So
comparing
I
them
think
as
to
models.
suggest that their equivalent is false.
So, not equivalent shapes. Not equivalent shapes, though. That you've missed my analogy in that regard. It's equivalent as a model. Both preposterous models.
Well, I can tell that to you is preposterous, that's fine. But I think it's a false equivalence personally.
Yeah, so we're on to
But
the
this is where
third
the
of your
whole idea
logical
of logical fallacy is like, it is a subjective thing. One person's logical fallacy is another person's truth.
That's
so there's all this focus on fallacies.
That's not right. Sorry, it's either a logical fallacy or it's not. There is only one exception to that.
Who gets to decide that?
No, it's either a logical
Your sister.
fallacy. It's either fallacious reasoning or it's not. It's very cut and dry.
who
There's
gets to
only
decide
one
that?
exception. The exception to that is the fallacy. We're off the beaten track into discussing fallacies, I notice, rather than where you assume a model, a ball, and then juxtapose that with your example of travelling antipodal on a model that you've assumed when making these observations of stars. So we're segueing away into just general discussion about how well I know a fallacy.
Well, you're the one who brought up the fallacies constantly, so I thought, well, let's address this. And I mean, you
And
do
that's why you're
understand that
constantly
fallacies are
using-
subjective. You do understand that.
Because you're constantly using them. We're going to get to your opposite direction star rotation here in a minute and clobber your so-called evidence, John LeBon.
All right, I'll respond to that quickly, and then you can clobber me. So
I
I could just sit here and say that you're a
I'm gonna
fallacy and you're
respond
using
to it right
fallacies, and then
now.
you can say that I'm using fallacy. It doesn't achieve anything, though.
Who cares
Yeah, it
about
does.
your fallacies, John LeBon? You said that the stars spin in opposite directions, didn't you?
Well, I'm saying that in Australia, we can see a certain set of constellations, and they appear to rotate in the night sky a certain way. And I think you agree with that. Like, even if you won't admit it, I think you do agree
Yeah,
with
they
that.
do rotate, but John LeBon, you said they rotated in opposite directions, John LeBon.
Yeah, well, I think the stars in the northern hemisphere do appear to rotate the other direction to what they do.
Yeah, the other direction. So the stars in the northern hemisphere spin from west to east, John LeBon.
Are you telling me or asking me?
John LeBon, you said they spin in opposite directions as opposed to from the south as opposed to the north. So that would mean one set of stars spins from east to west and the other set of stars spins from west to east.
Are you asking me or telling me? You've got so much anger, it's hard to distinguish if it's a question or a claim.
John LeBon, I'm summarizing your point. You said again, you have different star rotation. So that directly and explicitly states that stars in the south move from east to west. Stars in the north move from west to east.
I didn't say anything about east or west, though. So what
Yes,
are
you did. You
talking
said
about?
you said they spun in different directions, John LeBon.
Yeah, I didn't say anything about east or west.
That's directions.
Are you familiar with the
John
term
LeBon.
clockwise and anti-clockwise? Do these
They're
terms
not
mean
clockwise
anything
and
to you?
clockwise and counterclockwise are not directions, John LeBon.
Okay, that's fine. But are you familiar with the terms clockwise and counterclockwise?
Yeah, but you said
Yes, I
directions.
am, but they're not directions.
Sorry, I've just
You
got to
use them
intervene a
as
second. I'm
directions,
really
they are
sorry.
not.
Sorry, that's a red herring fallacy because you said specifically directions, didn't you? So why are you
Are we
talking
getting
about
back into the fallacies, Nathan? Because I can just sit here and say that you're using fallacies, and then you say it to
I'm
me.
about to detail it.
It goes nowhere.
I'm about to detail it. You specifically said different directions. Now it's been pointed out to you that anti-clockwise, clockwise are not directions. But
What are they then?
Sorry. You're continuing to assert this red herring, ignoring the fact that you've been asked in terms of a qualification of actual directions, and you've said, well, I didn't mention east and west. What directions? Well, yeah, you did. You said they span in opposite directions.
I didn't mention east and west, though. But if directions is the wrong word, just tell me the better word to use.
It's
What
your
what
word.
Clockwise and counterclockwise
No,
if they're not
we're
directions?
pummeling your claim based on your words, and you're saying, oh, well, everyone can just say fallacy. No, we don't just say fallacy. I don't just say fallacy and then hope that everyone thinks I'm right. We've detailed fallacies and how you've used them. Now, in this example, it's not a fallacy other than when you continue to talk about not antipodal, clockwise and anti-clockwise, when you've specifically said direction. So you're being qualified in terms of what a direction is, east to west.
Okay, so if clockwise and counterclockwise aren't directions, what are they? I'll just use whatever word you prefer.
You use directions. And you said they spin in opposite directions.
Yeah, and I'm happy to retract that. If you don't understand what I mean by that word, I can use whatever word you prefer. What word
It's your example.
Direction.
It's not about what word I prefer. It's not my example. You keep reversing the burden of proof. Like somehow I've used the word directions when describing stars traveling in different directions. No, it's not word I'm using and what I prefer. You've used that word. Words have meanings.
You're telling me you don't understand that word. So tell me what word you do understand.
Sorry, I don't understand. This is very poor tactics.
Well, why are you arguing if you do understand then? So if you don't understand direction, that's fine.
I understand that stars
clockwise and counterclockwise.
I understand that they travel in different directions.
So why are you arguing that word then?
No. I'm asking. You're saying I understand, and we're in agreement, according to you, which we're not. We will get there eventually. That they travel in different directions. That's the impression you are under.
So do you understand what the word clockwise means?
Sorry, clockwise would be relative to my direction that I'm facing, though, wouldn't it?
Well, is it direction or not?
Sorry, is it relative to where I'm pointing? If I turn around, does that... If I'm standing on a clock face and I turn the other way round, does it change direction? Or is it still spinning in the same direction? It's just me that's moved, so it's relative, isn't it? So this is kind of meaningless when we're talking about star movements.
And we see the minute tick from the 12 to the 1... Can I say to you that's going clockwise and you agree, or would you argue with me about that?
Depends which direction I'm facing.
Suppose that you and I are both looking at the same
Sorry,
clock
it
from the same
depends
position.
which direction I am facing. These aren't objective directions. That's the point. So, do the
Looking
stars...
up to the sky.
Sorry, John, do the stars move in different directions or not?
I'm asking you because you're the one who's
asking me.
Using the word direction.
No, okay,
Maybe I'm wrong.
no worries.
If I'm
I'll answer
wrong
you.
to use the word direction, that's fine. Just
I'll
tell me what
answer
word
you
is better.
then. You're asking me. You need educating. No, unlike your claim that they do travel in different directions, they do not. All the stars, save for Polaris, rise in the east and set in the west. Regardless of your location, they are all travelling in, and I say it as clear as I possibly can, given that you've claimed the opposite to this, they all travel in the same direction. You are wrong. No, they don't move in opposite directions. They all rise in the east and set in the west. You are wrong. Okay?
Okay, so do some appear to rotate clockwise and some counterclockwise, or is that a myth?
I say it a third time. They're all moving in the same direction. Do you not understand? All rise in the east and set in the west? Or do you think somehow they're moving in different directions when they all move in the same direction, east to west? Do you not understand this?
No, I'm happy to accept
Are
that.
you
They
too
all go
stupid?
east to west.
Are you
I'm
too
happy with
stupid?
that. That's cool.
Are you too stupid to not understand and comprehend? They're all moving in the same direction, John Le Bon. They're all moving in the same direction, unlike what you said earlier, that they move in opposite directions. They don't. You're just wrong. You're going to concede you're wrong? All moving east to west, save for Polaris. You're wrong. Ever going to concede your incorrect notion that they move in opposite directions? They don't!
All right,
You getting this?
I hope it's not interrupting.
You're just thick.
So
Are
do
you
some
getting this
move
down? Get a
clockwise
pen.
And some
Get a
counterclockwise?
pen. Shit for brains, John Le Bon. They don't move in opposite directions, you fucktard. They move in the same direction. You ever going to concede that you're wrong? Or are you just stubborn and stupid? They all move in the same direction, you shithead. Hello?
Okay, they all move in the same.
So why would you assert they moved in opposite directions, you fucktard?
Because I thought direction.
You thought?
That term talking about
That, you
clockwise
know what
and
that causes,
counterclockwise.
don't
Apparently
you?
I can't. So I'm happy to
Thickos
use a
shouldn't
different word.
fucking think. Don't think. Go and do some research, you stupid idiot. Don't come here with your thoughts about what the stars do. They don't move in opposite directions. You're just stupid. They all rise in... Sorry, why are you interrupting? The stupidest person here who's boldly declared they move in opposite directions and then tried to talk about anti-clockwise, clockwise. No, they don't.
So do some move clockwise and some anti-clockwise?
They all rise in the east and set its speech. Repeat after me. It's like teaching a 6-year-old. Why are you arguing with me? Repeat after me. I am stupid. My name is John Le Bon. I assert that stars rotate in opposite directions when in fact they all rise in the east and set in the west, save for Polaris.
Is this related to the clockwise, anti-clockwise thing, or are we on a
No,
different topic?
you're a dumb fuck who keeps saying they go in opposite directions because you're stupid and don't understand what direction means.
No, I've stopped using the word direction. I'm happy to
Sorry,
stop using that
you
word.
said they
Yeah, I'm
move in
using the
opposite
words
directions.
clockwise
That
and
was your
anti-clockwise.
original assertion. What, you've stopped because you've appreciated you're wrong, right?
Yeah, you don't understand what direction means when I use it.
No,
in that way,
I
so
do
I'm
understand
using
what direction means. You have asserted they move in opposite directions. You made that explicitly clear. You made it quite bold. You were uninterrupted and unimpeded when stating they travel in opposite directions. That is a incorrect assertion. You are simply wrong. All the stars rise in the east and set in the west. You stated they move in opposite directions. Wrong! How long's it going to take, slow coach? You're just wrong.
Because to me, clockwise and counterclockwise are different directions. And I
That's
think
because you're a
most people agree with
fuckwit.
that.
That's because you're fucking stupid. East to west in all instances isn't opposite. You're just wrong. How long's this going to take?
How many people who speak English do you think would disagree that clockwise and counterclockwise are different directions?
Sorry, these are objective. Sorry, your claim is that stars move in opposite directions. I urge you.
Yeah,
They
and that's because
don't.
clockwise and counterclockwise
Hello?
are in different directions.
Why do you
But to you,
keep
they're
talking
not.
about counterclockwise? Are you not getting it?
On the flat Earth, clockwise and counterclockwise.
Sorry, on the flat
different
Earth. Now it's
directions
time for a new straw man. When will we get to the point when you concede that you're just fucking wrong?
Can I
I'm still trying to establish if I am wrong. Do some stars
You
appear to
are.
clockwise and some
Let me
counterclockwise?
state it
I'm
for
still
you,
trying to
John
establish-
LeBon, for about the sixth bloody time. You asserted quite boldly and are still defending with the words anti-clockwise and clockwise and claiming I don't understand that the stars move in opposite directions. You are simply mistaken. Ergo, your declaration that they move in opposite directions when they all rise in the east and set in the west is wrong. That is simply a mistake, an error, an incorrect assertion by you that they move in opposite directions when they do not.
But is this just semantics about the word direction?
No, east to west, they all fucking do it. Are you really this stupid?
But I didn't even use the words east and west. You did.
Sorry, east to west are the direction that they
I'm talking
all
about
travel
the
in.
clockwise and
They're all
counterclockwise,
moving the same
which you seem to be
direction.
trying to avoid.
Hello, they're all moving the same direction, not opposite. Do you understand? Let me ask you. Let's see if you don't understand. Do you understand, John LeBon, that all of the stars, regardless of your location, move in the same direction, east to west, except for Polaris? Do you understand that at no point ever do they move in opposite directions? They're always moving in the same direction, contrary to your assertion. Do you understand this, given that I've said it 7 times? Or maybe you'd like to tell me that I don't understand direction again.
I'm still trying to establish the clockwise counterclockwise thing.
Why? When they are not
But I
directions.
think you're trying to avoid that.
No, they're
And I
not.
think we both know why.
Sorry, avoid it
And I
when.
think everybody here knows why.
Avoiding it when
I think
clarifying.
every single person here
Sorry,
knows exactly why that is.
sorry. Am I avoiding this when clarifying that all the stars move in the same direction?
Except for Polaris, which we're both happy to go with.
No,
But
no.
some
You
stars appear to
claimed.
rotate
No, no, no,
clockwise and some
no, no, no,
counterclockwise.
no,
It's a
no,
simple
no, no.
question.
No, you claim they moved in opposite directions. You were quite explicit about that.
And now I'm explaining to you that clockwise and counterclockwise are different directions to me, and to most English
Oh,
speakers.
so you don't understand what directions are then?
No, they're not.
Yeah, I don't think he's here to learn.
Clockwise, counterclockwise are relative to the observer's orientation.
Yeah, he doesn't understand. He's leveled it at me, so I'll just level it at him, the arrogant shit, who says I don't understand. No, John LeBon, you don't understand what directions are. You used the word, but you were ignorant of what you actually meant. You claimed the stars moved in
I know what I
opposite-
meant, and you know what
Yeah,
I meant.
you claim the stars moved in opposite directions, when in fact you're a fucktard who doesn't know what directions are and are still arguing that they move in opposite directions. What, relative to you? Yeah, they're all moving east to west in the same direction. Hello? How long's this going to take?
Well, as soon as you address the simple question, does some appear to rotate clockwise and some counterclockwise?
What does appear mean? Does appear? Sorry, what does appear mean? Does appear mean actual? Like
So
they
now you don't know what appear means either.
Yeah, it means not really. Appear, apparent, not actual. Yeah, I do know what appear means. I'm not a dumb fuck like you, JLB. Apparent, that would be relative to your position. Actual would be east to west always. Not moving in opposite directions, as you asserted. So yeah, I do understand.
So you know what the word apparent means?
Yeah, not actual.
Yeah, he just explained it to
I just
you.
explained it.
Cool.
Are you
So
too
do
dumb?
you agree that the
Are
stars
you
appear
incapable
to
of
rotate
listening?
clockwise in some places
Comprehension
and
problems,
counterclockwise in other
maybe.
places?
Moron.
Yeah, he's got comprehension problems. I just explained it to you.
Reconcile this.
Yeah, he's got comprehension
Give him a
issues.
chance. He's here to learn. He doesn't.
He's not here to learn. He's got comprehension issues. I've just
No,
explained it to him, and he
he's
asked me if
not
I knew
here
what
to learn,
apparent
he's
meant.
Trolling.
Not trolling, dumb. So when do we get to the point where you're going to ever concede that the stars are all moving in the same direction?
Are they all moving clockwise or counterclockwise?
Sorry, that's relative to me and my direction, though, isn't it?
Yeah, so relative to you, are they all moving clockwise or counterclockwise?
Oh, well, that's totally irrelevant when they're all moving in the same direction. So what, if I turn around, I can make something that's moving one way look like it's moving the other? Wow, that's amazing. So what? Does that mean they're actually moving in opposite directions? No, it doesn't. They're all moving in the same direction, contrary to your assertion. It's about the 12th time we've gone over this.
Clockwise are the same.
It's relative.
Maybe you don't. Do you not realize that if the stars are moving one direction, you turn around, they're moving in the other direction, right? They appear to.
Apparent. He doesn't get that. No, he doesn't know what direction is. That's
What
clear.
do you mean turn around? Like if you stop looking.
Yeah.
Relative to
Hold on, Arwin. Go ahead, Chocolate. Explain to John Le Bon how if you turn around, the stars look like they're going the other fucking way. It's amazing. He's just so stupid he doesn't know what relative means. Relative to you.
Yeah, man. Just turn around.
If two people are
180
talking,
degrees,
facing
and
each
they
other,
look like they're
which is
going in the other
clockwise and-
direction
P.S. Chocolate.
while they're going in the same direction. Do you not get that?
Okay, so like suppose you put like a transparent clock in between two people and the clock was ticking. To one person, the clock would appear to be going clockwise and one counterclockwise. Is that the point you're making?
Right. So if you watch a car on a motorway, from one side of the motorway, the car could be going left to right. But then you cross over and look the other way and it's going right to left. So what, that means the car's suddenly going the opposite direction like the stars in your example? No, the car's still going the same direction, but relative to you, you've crossed over the road. Isn't it amazing? So this clockwise, anti-clockwise, left or right in this example, they're not actual directions. And the stars don't go in opposite directions, like you claimed, ever. They always go in the same direction. But what, is it magic that you turn around and it looks like they're going the other way? Wowee. That doesn't really prove much though, because the stars still definitely go in the same direction, no matter where the hell you are.
I can give you a real quick example if you want. You can take your finger, point it outwards, away from you, rotate it counterclockwise. Now, going in the same direction, now point that finger towards you while still twirling it. Now it looks like it's going the other direction. There you go.
I just need a concession so we can bloody move on. The stars don't move in opposite directions, as you claimed.
If clockwise and counterclockwise are the same direction, as you're claiming.
Sorry. Did my example with the cars going... Sorry. Did my example with the cars changing direction when I crossed the road not tell you that car hasn't moved in the opposite direction? But in fact, you have crossed the road.
His own example.
Yeah, so...
If the car is making a circle, then whether you're inside or outside of the circle, the car's still going either clockwise or counterclockwise, isn't it?
Sorry, it's all moving from... Oh my God, it's about the 20th time I've said this. They're all moving in the same direction. Always. That's never going to change. What? But if I turn around, they're moving in a different direction. Wow, that's profound.
But if a car is making a circle, continuously making a circle, then whether you're inside that circle or outside, the car's still going the one direction.
No worries.
Clockwise or counterclockwise.
No worries. Okay, I'll do it with a roundabout. Bloody hellfire. You're standing on a...
You've just realised the problem with your car example, haven't you?
You're interrupting me while I'm making with your roundabout criteria. Yeah, you're watching the car from the roundabout. It's coming from... You don't like being pummeled.
Is it an...
I'll try again.
Which direction of the road are you driving on? England is on one side of the road.
I don't mind giving my example without you asking, hello? Yeah, you're on a roundabout and the car's coming from your right. And you go, that car's come from the right. And then it went all the way around. And then it came from the right again. And then it went all around. Then you cross over the road. And what do you know? It's now coming from the left. Has it changed direction? The car? Or is it still travelling in exactly the same direction? Just like the stars? But what? According to you, because I've crossed the road... I haven't finished my example. Because I've crossed the road, the car's now moving in opposite direction, is it? No! Still moving the same direction. I've just crossed the road. So all of the stars are moving in the same direction. The fact that you can turn around and say, well, now they're moving in a different... No, they're not. You've just turned around. So your example is based on you turning around, is it? They move in opposite directions if I turn around. No, they're still rising in the east and setting in the west, John Le Bon. Will we ever get to round this out with the concession that you're just wrong?
All right, I'm going to respond. Apologies if this is interrupting. So with your roundabout example, The car is still going counterclockwise, even if you move outside of its circular path, isn't it?
Not from my perspective. I crossed over the road, it's going the other way.
Yeah, from your perspective, it's still going counterclockwise.
Oh, so it's just from my perspective with your example from the stars then? So it's just based on whether or not you're looking one way or the other then?
So is the car still going counterclockwise or not?
Yeah, like the stars, the car's still just going round and round in one direction. The fact that you've crossed the road doesn't mean it's going the opposite direction. Like the stars, if I turn around... Yeah, it looks like, appears, apparent, not actual, like they're going the other fucking direction. But they're not! Hello? This is about the 20th attempt. Have you got no humility?
So the car is still going counterclockwise in that
Yeah,
sense.
the stars are still going the same direction. They're always going the same direction. It's just you that turns around. In your example, the stars don't ever go the opposite direction. You just turn around.
So
then if you had another roundabout and the car was going the opposite direction to the first car, relative to the first car, or I can't use the word direction there.
No, you're saying relative to the car, and what you're talking about should be relative to what you're observing of the car. You're switching your reference frame.
Yeah, I think you're onto something here. So the reference frame is different. So in countries like Australia, it appears as though there's a counterclockwise rotation.
Oh my god.
No, my God, no.
No, you've just turned
You're
around.
retarded.
No,
You're just retarded. That's it. You're retarded. Basically. We've discussed this for 45 minutes and you can't get it. An incoherent second grader knows this as apodictic indubitable. What is your excuse, John LeBon? Oh, and by the way, we did this about 4 months ago with you. So you thought you'd come back and try this shit again? You little Timmy clown.
I don't know what you think I'm trying to do, man. I'm just asking questions.
It's the Timmy clown argument. You were on this show about 3 months ago and we explained this to you. Right? You're back here with the same thing again.
Yeah, and I think
you don't know what directions are. Right?
Well, I think
If you're
you
in the
guys don't know what
Southern
directions are
Hemisphere-
because you're trying to tell me clockwise and
try this.
counterclockwise
Let's
are
try
the
this,
same.
John LeBon.
And I think
Let's
you know
try
they're not the
this,
same.
John LeBon. Let's try this, John LeBon, for the third fucking time. Stop over talking me. You're in the Southern Hemisphere. Are the stars rotating from east to west or west to east?
Well, if you look at the central point, what if the stars are just making a circle?
Are the stars rotating from east to west or west to east in the Southern Hemisphere, John LeBon?
Well, if you get a time lapse, it looks like they're going clockwise from memory. But I always get the two confused.
He can't even answer the question, dude. Goodbye. You're a retard.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. A huge, massive thank you to all of today's Discord and G+ panels for making this after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!